The following podcast is a presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
Hello, welcome to Staring into the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach. With me, as always, is Michael Patrick Hicks.
Hello.
Matt Brandenburg.
What's up? Sorry, I'm just thinking it hasn't been a normal episode yet because this is the first time in a while that somebody's been sick.
Yeah, that's true.
So back to crazy voices.
Allergies time. And we have author of Anoka, Shane Hawk, with us today.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome. This is exciting. I was happy to see you were coming on.
Yes, can't wait.
This episode will be a deep spoiler-filled discussion into Stephen Graham Jones's Mapping the Interior, which I still can't believe is only the second Stephen Graham Jones episode we've done.
That really blew my mind. I was trying over the weekend to figure out how many we've covered, because I know we have individually talked about The Only Good Indians and Night of the Mannequin.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that this is only the actual second story we've gone in depth on.
It's a little weird.
Seems like we should have covered way more Stephen Graham Jones than we have.
Yeah, I think we should fix that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But
he's got quite the bibliography to explore.
He does.
He really does.
Yeah, I'm actually holding in my hand right now My Heart is a Chainsaw.
Well, I have mine on the Kindle. I got a NetGalley ARC, so I am technically holding that.
Well, and it's crazy.
With like 7,000 other books all at once.
Right.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize how many he had until I looked at the end of Mapping Interior. Has a kind of a list of all of his stuff, and I mean, like, I knew he had a lot, but when you kind of see it all listed out, you're just like, holy crap!
Yeah, he has a lot.
He's getting into some Lansdale territory with this bibliography.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to him the other day, and we were talking about his bio, and he's like, I think I have 25, 26 books, something like that. I don't even know.
That's amazing. But
it really is. But to those of you who've listened to the podcast, before we dive into our discussions, we like to give a weekly rundown of media we consumed. And a lot of us have watched the similar things this week. So we'll be getting into that. But I watched a really fucking weird movie last night.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Koko-Di Koko-Da. It's on the Shudder.
Okay.
Have you guys heard of this one?
No.
I don't, but I have Shudder.
It is weird as fuck. I liked it. It's about this Swedish family who suffer a tragedy in the beginning of the movie, and then it fast forward 3 years, and they go on this like camping trip to rekindle their marriage. And while they're camping, a group of weird strangers, including a old man in a top hat who sings a nonsense childish song.
All right.
A circus-like strongman holding a dead dog. And a girl with a gun who's walking a live dog comes across a family and murders them.
What? Wait, not this family.
Yeah, no, this family.
What?
Then the husband wakes up and they find themselves in a Groundhog Day time loop.
What?
Where they have to break the cycle of these three strangers murdering them by overcoming their trauma, by enduring even more trauma.
It sounds a little dark.
Yeah, just a bit.
It's advertised as a horror comedy. It's not a horror comedy. It's just a horror movie.
Really? There's no comic relief at all?
I didn't find any comic relief. Maybe there is comic relief in the old man singing this nonsense childish rhyme, but I just found that kind of creepy.
So they're like gaslighting everybody by calling it a comedy.
Maybe.
Trying to get those Shaun of the Dead fans.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Kind of Funny Games meets like Groundhog Day. It's a very like intense movie, but it's really good. It's one of those movies you have to pay lots of attention to. It's kind of art housey. I was reading a review on the Roger Ebert website that gave it 1 star.
Perfect.
And he's called it art house nonsense.
Oh, of course.
But like a lot of genre people are really enjoying this movie. So if you
isn't that the same trope that Happy Death Day uses? I haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
This I haven't seen Happy Death Day either, but
what?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
We're sorry.
I haven't either, Matt.
What?
So.
How? Oh my gosh, you guys need to all correct that. It is such a great movie.
Is it a horror comedy?
Like,
it is, and like officially comedy. They're not like gassing us.
Happy Death Day is supposed to be funny.
Yes.
This is, if there is humor with it, it might be like Swedish humor that I didn't understand. I thought it was a really intense movie that packed quite an emotional punch.
Did they talk a lot about locks?
They did not talk at all about locks.
Well, then I don't know the Swedish humor then either. I don't know.
They talked about peeing.
Okay.
Well,
every time the husband wakes up, he wakes
Matt's
up because his wife wakes him up saying she has to pee.
Okay.
And that's the first line of every time they begin the loop is the wife wake up the husband saying she has to pee.
Oh, I could just
so
see
Matt's all about this movie now.
The screenwriter's sitting there. He's like, oh, gosh, you guys are going to love this. Every time they get up, they have to pee.
Is there like a secret golden shower cut?
The Blu-ray's not out yet, so let's wait to see if that ever happens.
That's the Brandenburg cut.
Damn it. I was going to say that's the Snyder cut. We're just going to show him pee intensely.
Slow-mo pee.
Yes.
Desaturated color.
Visually stunning.
I do have some more, but I'll save it.
Playing.
It'd be like another band covering another song and it playing in the background.
Yes. Ancient hymn playing in the background.
We're making this movie sound way cooler than it is, maybe.
Right.
I think we are just a little bit.
Everyone is so disappointed in this new Swedish horror comedy flick now.
I would suggest checking it out if you're interested. I was pleasantly surprised by it.
I mean, I can appreciate that they're making them human. You don't see that in movies very often. We all have to go to the bathroom.
That's true.
So true.
So.
You don't really get like John McClane and his titanium bladder.
Right? Come on. Even he's in the bath.
In real life, when he's in the vent, he would have been leaving a trail of urine the entire way. Crawling on his hands and knees.
Just peeing down the elevator. He's like, they'll teach them.
Little droplets plunking into Hans Gruber's hair along the way.
That's how it stays so shiny.
Shoot the urinal.
That's the gel. So he slicks it back.
Oh, God.
It's what we call the Trump conditioner.
Oh, no.
But, Mike, what about you?
Justice League is the only thing that I got through this week.
Ooh, the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, the Snyder
I think
Cut.
it's short.
Yeah, thankfully. I was able to breeze through that.
I understand why it took you all week.
Yeah, I did actually take a day off of work. I have a bunch of vacation time thanks to the quarantine and work from home situation. Oh. So I got to burn a day, and that was like pretty much my entire day was watching that thing.
I really enjoyed the Snyder Cut a lot more than I thought I was going to, because I don't like Zack Snyder as a director very much.
Yeah. I don't mind him. I think I probably like him more than you and Matt do, but I'm not insane about his flicks. I did love the hell out of Justice League, though, and I wish this is what we had gotten back in 2017.
Yeah, I never saw the original.
Yeah, you're not missing anything by not having seen the first one.
They call it Justice League?
Yeah. Yeah, so the backstory is that when he was filming this, Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide, and he had to leave before he was able to do post-production work. He had completed filming, but they hadn't begun editing and assembling the film together. And Warner Brothers took that as their opportunity because the executives wanted to have more humor in it. They didn't like what Snyder was doing.
They wanted to make it more like a Marvel movie.
Yeah, so they brought in Joss Whedon, fresh off his success of 2 Avengers movies, to reshoot like 80% of the movie and make it his own version. But still,
Joss didn't do all 3 Avengers?
No, he only did the first 2.
Oh, okay.
And then the last 2 were by the Russo brothers.
Gotcha.
So they brought him in to remake basically what Snyder had done and released what ended up being an absolute abomination that required him to reshoot like 80% of the movie. All the cast had moved on to other things. Henry Cavill had grown a mustache for his work in Mission Impossible.
Right.
And they had to like CGI out his mustache.
I saw screen caps, yeah.
Yeah. Like the reshot scenes that Henry Cavill is in, like the bottom half of his face is just a gray CGI blob.
Oh my God.
So weird.
Yeah, it was. They were on a severe time crunch and no money. Yeah. So it was like, okay, what can a 3-year-old do in Photoshop? Let's go with that and put it in the movie theater.
So you're just saying Joss Whedon drew it on Photoshop?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Like, to give you an idea of this, Shane,
a bunch of women and then went on Photoshop.
I know. Seriously.
Oh, did you notice that, like, the Joss Whedon cut of that movie, that in Cyborg's entire arc was removed?
Yeah.
I read about that.
And, like, there's all other, like, black side characters that were removed from, like, Whedon's cut.
Yeah. Yeah, they completely whitewashed the whole film.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of sorry. I was just going to say I saw a bunch of indigenous people in my Twitter feed be like, let's call the Joss Whedon cut the white cut.
Yeah. Like, Ray Fisher was pissed. I don't blame him. I'd be pissed too.
He has every right to be pissed. He did a fantastic job. Once you can finally see his full story revealed, he did really, really good work. And to have all of that removed so that Joss Whedon could add in a Russian family so that the Flash could make a joke about Dostoevsky and try to kill a parademon with bug spray.
Yeah.
Instead of reversing time to save the world, that was a choice.
Yeah, that scene was pretty cool.
So, yeah, overall I was very, very happy with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I do hope we at least get one more film from him to get through the Nightmare world and wrap up this whole Dark Side story.
Now, did he do like other DC movies too?
If you consider Watchmen a DC movie,
oh, I'm not talking about that.
He did Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman.
Okay, so he did all of them except Wonder Woman. Was there any other?
Aquaman.
Oh yeah, I know.
And Shazam.
Well, was Shazam in this movie?
Suicide Squad.
And Suicide Squad.
Was Suicide Squad in this movie?
Joker from Suicide Squad was in this movie.
Well, that doesn't count. Was Shazam in this movie?
No.
That doesn't count.
At first, I thought Shazam was the Flash because they look so similar, and I was like, wait a second. And this is because I don't really watch comic book movies or read them. So I was like, wait.
Like, who is this?
That Joker scene at the end was pretty awesome, though.
Yeah. I like that quite a lot. Joker and Batman have some interesting conflict there.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the first time Batman ever said the F word?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, man.
You badass.
Leave it to Zack Snyder to pack that extra oomph.
I liked Jared Leto's look there compared to what I saw in Suicide Squad. At least the trailer, because I never watched that either.
Much better.
I didn't see Suicide Squad at all, but this was a much better look for the character.
Yeah, the look was really cool and creepy.
Yeah, I did see Suicide Squad, and you two are not missing anything.
I didn't see it either, but I haven't seen any of the DC movies except Shazam and the Harley Quinn one. So
I like the Harley Quinn one.
You haven't seen Iron Man?
I did. No, I saw. Yes.
Trying to trigger you guys.
Wait.
Almost got it. Matt, what about you from last week?
Well, I did not see the Snyder Cut. But I did read a comic, and I read, and I'm trying to pull it up here, Ultramega by
Me too.
James Harren. Yeah, it is amazing. It is a kaiju body horror kind of Ultraman-esque story in which people are infected by some disease that turns them into giant kaiju monsters. And at first, and this is like a mega-sized comic. It's just one issue, and it's like 60 pages. And at the beginning, you have these three kind of Ultramen, kind of, like old Ultramen superhero Power Ranger type guys that can come up and fight these kaiju. But then they twist that pretty quick, and so those characters are not going to play very much in this story. And the kaiju are exactly what they sound like, monsters, and they eat people because they're going to do something. We don't know what yet, and they are extremely gross, lots of blood and body parts, and the drawings are just amazing. There's these scenes of like this like lady vomiting out these like worms, and just like at one point one of the Ultramen gets killed, and they're giant, and so as a giant person, you imagine they have lots of blood, and the blood just like flows in this town, and they talk about it scabbing over and all this stuff. So, oh man, it is amazing. It just came out this week, and it's gonna be pretty amazing and huge, and it's a lot of fun. And I think he's gonna keep doing these supersized issues. He had talked at the end. He gives a little discussion, and he's like, I can't pack a story into 30 pages. I gotta keep going, and I'm kind of riffing off of old anime and old manga and stuff like that. So definitely worth checking out if you're a kaiju fan.
I second that. It is a fucking wild ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had sent us I don't know, is it fair to call it a screen cap of the artwork, and it looks like a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because like you get like, Pacific Rim and Godzilla and stuff like that. And and Godzilla, I love the Godzilla movies. These last couple ones I'm not a huge fan of, but I'll still go see them all. And anyway, these most recent ones, they kind of touch upon the human side of this, and they kind of focus more on that. Whereas like Pacific Rim does as well, but is more about the robots and monsters fighting. But you never like see the like violence and the aftermath of like what happens to people when they have to deal with these giant monsters, and it's not a pretty sight.
There's a lot of blood. What about you, Shane?
I also watched the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
I cut it into two different viewings because it was way too long. But I was entertained. I guess we already kind of covered this, but I also watched Servant, the finale of season 2, which is on Apple TV Plus. It's a M. Night Shyamalan show.
Yeah. How is it? I've been watching season 1.
I would say the finale was open-ended, so there's definitely going to be a season 3. I wish more happened in season 2. It felt like maybe he ran out of ideas.
Oh.
Like filler episodes, like my fiance and I would turn to each other and say, maybe something will happen next episode. Said that like 4 times.
Ouch.
But I don't know. I like the story. I wish it was condensed into maybe, I don't know, a season and a half.
The first season, like something happens every episode, and you're like, what's going to happen next? Like, where's this going?
Yeah, and then season 2 is like one breadcrumb. Okay, next episode, one breadcrumb. It's like, dude, come on. Make something happen.
Right? Does it feel like it needs to be like a long, like not a limited series? Like when you watch some stuff, you're like, okay, it makes sense that this is limited.
Well, they're even just half an hour episodes.
Oh, wow.
So, make more happen in half an hour instead of stretching it into all this filler. I don't know. It's entertaining though. I wasn't mad.
I keep hearing stuff about Apple TV. I feel like I need to maybe test it out.
I literally just tweeted about this. Like, someone was mad that Stephen King is putting out Lizzie's story on there for 8 episodes.
Huh.
And I tweeted, like, if you're mad about Apple TV Plus, another platform, they give you a week for free, and it's only $5 a month if you wanted to watch a whole series.
Yeah.
I got it 2 months for free, so I'm taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I got a whole year because I just got a MacBook.
Nice.
But I didn't even pay attention to it.
I mean, they're getting some big movies. Like the Russo brothers made their new movie an Apple exclusive.
Was that the one with Jared Leto?
That's the one with Tom Holland.
Oh, right. I just watched that. Cherry?
Yeah. Was it good? I've read the book. I love the book, but I haven't seen the movie.
The movie was fairly good. Very dark, drug addiction and pretty, graphic showcasings of it. It was a little strung out because it's like 3 hours.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yeah. So I liked it. I'd give it 3.5 stars out of 5. 3 stars. I don't know.
That's not bad. I mean, I do like Tom Holland, so it could be worth it.
Well, for me, another thing I think most of us saw last week was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Nope. And all I'm going to say is it's exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I enjoyed it and had fun with it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as big of a surprise as like WandaVision.
Yeah.
This is more like your typical Marvel fare.
Yes.
What is it, a movie?
It's a TV series. It's on Disney Plus.
You watched the whole thing?
Just the first episode.
Oh, okay.
They're doing weekly releases.
One a week.
So it's not like Netflix.
Gotcha.
Dragging it out for us.
That's what was annoying about Servant is like you give me 27 minutes on Fridays and then you're like just doing one breadcrumb at a time. All right.
Yeah. I like it's good and bad with them doing it like that. I mean, it's nice because it gives you something to kind of look forward to, but it's so challenging now that we can binge almost anything where we have to like relearn to like some things being kind of slow and then other things that you can just kind of burn through.
Yeah, it's how I felt about like The Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly.
Some filler episodes there for sure.
Yeah.
I always feel like the old man because like back in my day, we only had TV once a week.
Yeah, right.
Hey, that was when I was a kid too.
You must have liked the Snyder Cut with that 4:3 formatting.
I didn't have any issues with it.
I didn't either.
It was fine with me.
Why did he do it that way?
IMAX.
It's IMAX.
Oh, so he's hoping that it'll get into IMAX theaters.
Yeah, that's his plan.
He filmed it for like IMAX screenings, but it's also even on like our regular TV, you see more image with the 4:3 because they normally cut off from the top and the bottom.
Yeah, it's properly formatted for that ratio.
Yeah,
it's not like a VHS pan and scan 4:3 where
right.
They're taking a widescreen image and destroying it to make it full frame.
It's like Instagram TV.
Amazing.
But I really enjoyed.
Used to be, and we liked it.
I will say I really enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I liked how they're bringing in aspects of like the blip and the consequences that it has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For like people being vanished for 5 years, only to suddenly come back.
Yes.
And what that kind of how that affects them and the society around them. I thought that was a really cool feature. I also like seeing Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah, I didn't realize
back on the screen again.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I think he's going to be the big bad this season, even though they kind of introduced Flag Smasher.
Yeah,
I think Wyatt Russell's character is going to be the big bad.
Now, who was he? The soldier?
Yeah, he's Captain America, the new Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Wyatt Russell.
Oh, did they ever show his face?
They didn't, but I could tell it was him with that jawline. You can't mistake Kurt Russell's kid.
He was in that World War II horror movie, wasn't he? Like,
right, Overlord.
Yes,
Overlord. That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. I wanted to see that. I did not.
Oh, Overlord's good. It's a lot of fun.
I think it's on some platform for free right now. I forget.
Yeah, I need to hunt it down because it looked really awesome.
What were you guys' thoughts of Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I liked it. I liked what you were, all of that stuff. I also like the fact that you didn't really, they started doing it with WandaVision, and then they did it with this too, in which like you start realizing like how condensed are the timing between all the movies and how there's like no time between them all. So like for like Bucky, it's like he's been going nonstop. And even for like Wanda and WandaVision, you realize, it was only like 9 days ago that they destroyed Thanos for that one. And now she's in her magic world. And that's the same kind of for this, where if you look at like Bucky, the fact that he was frozen and then Winter Soldier and then all these things happened and now he can kind of take a break. So like I like that they're exploring that kind of aspect of like, well, what do you do now? Now that you're kind of back in the real world and you're not having to worry about fighting some ultimate evil. I also really liked, they did a really good job capturing a lot of the PTSD for him and just that, again, that challenge of coming back to the world and being like, well, what do I do now? I thought that was a nice subtle way to kind of capture that stuff, which they sort of did in whatchamacallit, the second Captain America, and I'm drawing a blank on that one. Is that Winter Soldier? Yeah, that one. Yeah. They captured it a bit in that too, just between Falcon and Captain America. And this one, they're giving us Bucky's side, which I liked. I also like felt so bad for him because, you know, he's dealing with the fact that he's done so much wrong. And now he's trying to like come to terms with that and fix it. And I think I like that kind of redemption story. I was thinking about it last night with him and even with like Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy movies, where both of them have maybe started out on a okay track and then they did something really terrible and now they're trying to like make amends for it. And like Guardians, you've probably all seen or at least know that story. But like for Bucky, they really do a good job of showing him like kind of dealing with those consequences and trying really hard to maybe not forget, but having it kind of shoved in his face all the time, it kind of sucks. And so I've always liked his character. And so I'm excited that we get to see a little bit more of him dealing with that kind of trauma. So I liked it.
I feel bad for Shane. We convinced him to come on our horror podcast.
Now we're talking about Marvel movies.
We're just going to talk about comic books instead.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming.
A little bait and switch.
That's why I did my Snyder Cut research for 4 hours.
Mike, what did you think?
I did like it. I liked that they kind of slowed down a little bit to focus more on characters and helping to reestablish where these two are at in the world now after Endgame and the blip. And I really felt bad for Bucky with him and the reason he was kind of creating this friendship with one of the senior citizens that he lives nearby.
Yeah, that killed me.
And the stuff with Sam and the banker, I wanted to punch that fucking banker.
Yes.
But I do like that they're kind of going with like a more overtly political direction with this, where in the comics there was a central focus in that where the military wanted Sam to give up being Captain America because he was a black man and they didn't want a black guy running around with the shield, so that they could give it to a white guy that they were training to be the new Captain America. And I like that they're getting into that element, the sort of racial politics of superheroing. I think is pretty interesting. So I am looking forward to seeing where this goes, and hopefully they don't try to Disney-fy it too much where everything will be okay. I do hope they... And I trust Marvel to have a sensible, realistic approach to it, even under the guise of all of these superhero cape nonsense.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll say before we dive into our discussion of mapping the interior, I want to give a shout out to the new Gemma Files collection. In that Endlessness, Our End, she has a story in here called Venio, which is probably the most horrific thing I've read all this last week.
What is that about? Because I saw you tweet about it, and I am very eager to get to this collection.
It is about a group of people who are playing a game that involves them opening an imaginary doorway, and they invite someone to come through.
Oh, never good.
No, that's not a wise thing.
All that happens is there's a voice they keep on hearing that's just Venio, Venio, Venio. And it's getting louder and louder as the story continues.
Creepy.
Are
as
they Sorry, go on.
I think this one was in Vastirian.
Okay, good. I was just gonna ask because that sounded very similar to a story I think I had read in one of the issues.
Yeah, I think this was one of the ones that was in Vastirian.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that story. If it's the same one, then yeah, I really like that. That was a good one. So
yeah, the one you have to clear your head and not think of anything.
Yes.
Like, oh, that climax was like, I was like, holy fuck, when that climax of the story happened.
Is it out, or do you have an arc?
It's out. You can buy her collection, her new one. It's In the Endlessness Our End. If you go to Grimscribe Press's website, you can buy it digitally for pay what you want. Or you could buy a physical copy from Amazon. I have the limited hardcover, which is now sold out.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed I missed that.
I would suggest to pay what you want. Like, I think that's a really nice feature when people add that.
I feel like we've talked the little things about publishing in the past in certain ways, and this is one that so I'm a big Bandcamp is where a lot of indie musicians. Yeah, and a lot of those albums that they put out are pay what you want. If you pay $1, then you can get it streaming on Bandcamp, so you can stream it on their app and stuff like that. But otherwise, if you paid $0, you would just download it. But I really like that because then it allows people who want to pay more, they can give the musician, some money. And then if they still want to listen to it, they can just download it for free. And I think for digital books, I really like that model because, you put a certain suggested amount on it so that you can cover editing costs and stuff like that. But then it kind of opens the door for people who maybe can't afford everything, that they can at least download the copy of the book and read it, or throw in some cash and get it to the author, publisher, whoever. So it would be an interesting model, I think, for future people to follow.
Especially since publishing is a global phenomenon now instead of just tied to the US or UK or whatever.
Yeah,
now people in like Argentina can download my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, if you do research into their economies and stuff, they're not doing too bright.
Yeah,
you definitely help out if you do that kind of model.
And like you can look at the one big author that I know has always done that is Cory Doctorow. All of his books are DRM free, and you can download them all for free or listen to them all for free on his website. And I mean, he still publishes them, and you can still pay and buy like a copy of it. But to exactly what you were saying, Shane, it's available to anybody who maybe can't afford to get that book. So
another author who does that, which this is cutting into some like deep staring into the abyss lore because this episode never made it, is Peter Watts. If you go to his website, a lot of his books are free to download too.
What did we cover from that?
The
Things.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, a lot of his books are free to download.
And I'm sure it's a tricky model to kind of follow. So
I'm sure their publishers love it.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. But
you'd have to have some like clause in your contract or have to buy the rights back or something.
Yeah. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah. And like I will say, for at least Bandcamp and the bands, not everything you find on Bandcamp is free. But there's a lot of people will do it that way, or they'll put like a single out for free and then you pay for something. Or the other way they do it is, they'll sell a vinyl or CD version of it for X amount, but you can get the digital for free. So to cover what Mike had brought up in the past, where you would want a digital copy of a print book both at the same time, a lot of them will do that. They'll sell you like a vinyl, and then the vinyl will come with a download code.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. I hope that turns into a reality soon, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every other segment of entertainment outside of book publishing is doing that. So
Yeah, even like Blu-rays.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like if you order books directly from Journal Stone, they'll email you the digital copies.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Even like the books that aren't out yet. Like I pre-ordered Eyes in the Dust and
you get the digital right away.
And you get the digital as soon as you order.
Word Horde does a similar. They do digital bundling also.
Yes.
With their print editions.
So maybe that will be the future. I mean, you won't. It like we said, it'd probably be really difficult to go to Barnes and Noble and do that. But if you buy something online, it's nice. But,
or if you go to Barnes and Noble, they could have a download code like that prints out on the receipt when you buy the book.
Yeah, which would be cool.
My one complaint would be, I know Simon & Schuster, they'll occasionally send me an email about download a free book, and then you've got to download another reading app that they use that is particular to that company. And it's like, well, no, I don't want another thing. I want the Kindle edition because that's what I do my reading on. I don't want to have to download a different app for each publisher to get the digital version of it. I want the digital, but I'm not that interested in your freebie to read on Glasso or Luso or whatever the fuck it's called.
Well, and that's a tricky, and we don't need to go too far down that rabbit hole, but the DRM thing, which I think you might have seen like with Sony and a couple other, maybe Microsoft, but it's tricky with those because theoretically you don't really own it. You're just loaning it from them and they can pull it from you. Yeah. So that's, to go to your point, that's a little scary if they're making you download a whole new app because then they can say, well, you've owned it long enough. We're taking it away.
Well, it goes the same way if you own any digital goods. Like, you know,
Apple's been caught a few times.
Yeah, they canceled episodes of like Always Sunny and stuff.
Yeah,
just take it away from you.
So that's why old man Matt always has to get the physical copy if he can.
But I think it's time to shift gears.
Yes,
and move into mapping the interior.
All right.
And so my first question before we get started is why, out of all the Stephen Graham Jones books and stories, why did you end up with this one, Shane?
Probably because I'm half Native American, and I saw the cover on Goodreads. This was, you know, I'm relatively new to horror, sad to say. I mean, I grew up with all the scary movies and Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark and all that. But for literature, I mean, I don't think I've told anyone this on like a podcast yet, but I stopped reading like in high school. I didn't pick up reading again until I was 26.
Yeah.
That's 2016. So I've had to do a ton of like catching up in multiple genres. Like I think 2016 and 2017 and 2018, I read over 200 books a year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
thankfully there's not much out there that you need to get caught up on.
Yeah, my TBR on Goodreads is only like 2,200.
Oh,
so I saw it on Goodreads, and I saw it was a Native American boy on the cover, and I was like, whoa, what is this? It's labeled horror. And so I just read the description, and I thought it was really interesting, kind of related to me. So I was like, okay, I'll dive in. And that was July 2019, which is 2 years after he published it, I believe, because I think he got the Bram Stoker in 2017 for it. And I just fell in love. I was like, wow, this is such good writing. And he's Native American, and I could do this too. So it was one of the main pushes for me to start writing.
What made you get back into reading?
I'm not sure. I think because that year, I've always been overweight, and that year, 2016, like my New Year's resolution, even though I don't really believe in them, I said, all right, I'm going to lose all my weight this year. I got on like keto and like hardcore lifting.
Nice.
And I dropped 115 pounds that year.
Oh, wow.
And if you've ever done a low carb type diet or anything like that, you don't experience brain fog anymore.
Wow.
Like when you wake up, your brain is literally running on adrenaline. So you're super sharp. All my witty jokes like fired instantly. just my brain was always busy and wanting to learn more. So I just, I don't know, dove into reading, I guess.
Nice.
I was like, why don't I get into this? And then I just like fired off and never looked back, I guess.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
I need to try that.
Yeah.
It feels good.
I mean, that's a nice like side benefit of doing keto. You can tell, like, hey, you get to read a lot more.
Yeah, even if you don't do the extreme keto, you know, because keto, you're supposed to be 20 grams of carbs or less a day.
Wow.
Even if you do low carb, like under 100, you'll reap the benefits.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And was this your first like Stephen Graham Jones story?
Yeah, it's my first.
Oh wow.
I didn't know he was Native American until I think I got to the end of the book. You know, because his name sounds Anglo in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, he's writing about Native Americans. And then I got to the end and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. He's, you know, Blackfeet. And I can relate to this so much. I mean, my brother has special needs. So I was like really relating to the story. And, yeah, it was super good.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. But this is my third, I think. If I've read some short stories by him, but talking about like hitting parts, just the fact, like the description of their home, I was like, man, I lived in that exact home. And not to like be a bummer, but I felt very similar situations about father situations, and especially being the oldest, kind of looking to take care of your younger siblings, and just some of the things in here. I was like, oh man, this is hitting really deep.
Exactly, for me too. One thing about the home I thought was really interesting was how I described them on cinder block pylons.
Yeah,
you know, like the modular home.
Yep.
And so I was thinking of like, they were trying to escape the res, you know, because life on the res, different reservations around the U.S., not very good.
Yeah.
For all facets, you know, healthcare, crime, etc.
Yeah.
But then I thought that was interesting with the pylons. You know, it's a modular home that can't move, and it made me think that, you know, your home is supposed to be your roots. And his literal home was above the ground without roots.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, he left the res, which was his home, but that poverty still followed him, and he still felt like not at home. Mm-hmm. You know? I thought it was really interesting.
Well, that too, and it's, you know, with the title and what he's doing to map the interior of the home, I think really plays into that too, where he's trying to figure out his place and what it is and how big it is and where he fits in with all of that. So, and that's, I didn't catch the pylon thing, but I was thinking that for the interior, but combining the two puts it into another level.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either, but now that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, the story is, and I'm
dark.
It's really dark.
Yeah, it's basically our narrator, which I'm drawing a blank. Do we get to know his name?
Junior. He's a junior.
Yes, that's right.
And you had a good little explanation about that too. It's really interesting.
Yes, yeah. Junior, he's telling the story from the future about what happened to him when he's 12, and it opens up very powerfully where he sees his dead dad in the house, and then it starts exploring the fact that he's trying to bring his father back, as well as just kind of dealing with life being indigenous within this kind of community and what that all entails, and his mom trying to make ends meet, and, you know, a crazy neighbor with lots of dogs. And slowly he starts wondering if his dad shouldn't be coming back because he's feeding off of his younger brother. And so then how does he stop that from happening? But then in the end, he tries to bring him back again. So, or his son back again. So spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're curious about the last 5 pages, good job, Matt.
Jumping right in.
Thanks, Matt.
We can blow past it. I said it quiet.
Yeah, we should do the spoiler at the front of the story instead of maybe after you blow the ending.
You know, like, there's a lot in between there, so.
There is.
Yeah, there's about 100 pages. between the beginning and the end, which you covered very well and succinctly.
Just right into it. Fair.
So it's funny with this book. I got this book back in 2017, but this is the first time I read it.
Yeah.
And this was I loved it. I thought it was really fantastic. I got it with I think Mike will remember this company. Remember that horror monthly book box company that fucked everything up?
Yeah.
I forget their name by now. It's been years.
I do too, but that's okay. They're not worth remembering.
That's where I got this book from.
Wow.
I got it shortly before I left, going back to China, and then when I came back, I had to move, and the book just got lost in the shuffle. But I'm happy I got to dig it out so I could finally give it a read, and I was floored by it.
Nocturnal's Reader, is that the one?
Yes, that's the one.
NRB. And then they tried to do a movie scam.
The Horror Bees.
Yeah.
Remember that? What a ripoff. Literally, the only thing on the worth I got from that box was this Stephen Graham Jones book, and I got a bootleg Stephen King trigger hat.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got a coffee mug or two with some presumably stolen artwork that they got off the internet.
Jeez.
Wow, okay. Not licensed?
No.
No.
Not licensed.
There's a long story with this company. But
sure.
They fucked up a lot. But the good thing they did was get this book to people. So there's that.
Yeah, I guess
and
so.
I know, Mike, this is your second time reading this book.
It is, yeah. I don't know.
Have your opinions changed?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I don't know. The first time I read this was right when it came out. I got it through NetGalley. And I don't know what I was going through at that time, but my first reading, and I suspect it was probably one of, if not the first Stephen Graham Jones book that I had read.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something about the writing style that didn't pull me in. And I think it was because at that time I wasn't very well versed in Jones's style.
Yeah.
And I know in my original review, one of the things that I didn't like was the narrator's style, with the kid always talking about in sentence structures like, my mom changed the light bulb. It was because it was covered in red mist. And there was always that kind of lead into a sentence, and then he would give you the explanation behind that lead in.
Yeah.
And that just kind of irked me the first time around. So I think I must have been in some kind of bad mood when I was reading it.
Shocking.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
So,
I hear that a lot from people that read Jones for the first time.
Yeah.
His writing style is very unique, and it kind of is disorienting if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah.
So I just tell people just try him again, try to figure out his patterns, and you'll really come to like it.
Yeah. And I think I must have read this before, and I forget now the anthology he had the story in that was about a husband being interrogated by the police about his missing or dead wife. Mm-hmm. And that story blew me the hell away. I was like, okay, I need to check out more from this guy. And then I read probably another or two short stories of his, and then got The Only Good Indians. And it was like, okay, this guy, he's fucking great. So then, you go into Night of the Mannequins, and that's fucking awesome. So I was very glad to have a chance to revisit this story and try to figure out what the hell went wrong for me. And I ultimately don't have a good answer to that. Other than it was maybe just the wrong book at the wrong time for me.
That happens a lot. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Reading it this time around, it was fucking great. I ended up liking this a hell of a lot. It's very potent material, and Jones is a master. He's great.
Yeah, for sure.
He's one of the few writers who I think mastered his voice early on in his career.
Yeah.
And his books are just 100% his own voice.
And they're all very
style.
different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got quite the range. Like
He's
going
definitely
from
not
this
one of these
Mongols.
authors who's rewriting the same book for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, have you guys read The Least of My Scars?
No.
I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, that's another book that you'll see his range. You're like, what the fuck is this guy for real? It's first person from a serial killer's mind, and like it's grotesque and darkly funny, and it was a shocker. I know, I like that one a lot. Totally different from his other stuff,
Yeah. No, because I totally get like getting into his voice, because it does take a second, but it feels so much for all of his stuff. It's like you're sitting there and he's telling this to you.
It feels authentic.
Yes.
Like someone's telling you this story, how someone would verbalize it, like in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he talks like that in real life. Like when he's emailing me, I have to take a second to figure out what the hell he's saying. Like, there's just some people that have that kind of voice where you're just like, let me try to break down the sentence. Because he uses like a lot of commas and colons and stuff. I'm like, all right, now I get what you're saying. I always have to take his emails slowly.
Yeah. He's like the anti-Jack Ketchum. Ketchum had no commas.
Yeah.
Stephen Graham Jones uses all of the commas. Yes.
All the commas.
But what's cool too is,
I think he gets paid by the comma.
In everything I've read from him, what I love is he captures, like, he'll throw things in, like he'll give you these little things that maybe aren't tied directly to the story, but they're giving you kind of that flavor and that depth. And especially for, like, if we're looking at the mindset of a 12-year-old, so of course he's going to be kind of a little bit all over the place and talk about why he's sleeping and why he's doing these certain things and why he's getting up or what he's going to find. And it doesn't stop it, but it gives you a second to be like, oh, okay, I get what's happening, or I get this character a little bit more. And it's really neat in this one. We get a lot more of this style of what this character is.
And by the time, like, toward the end, the last, like, 10%, you can see, now that it's, like, in the present day or whatever, the voice is a lot more measured.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. So, all right. So, questions. What was the thing under the house?
You think it wasn't his father's spirit?
Well, he, like, finds that hole and he finds something like an egg.
Yeah, like the chrysalis.
Right. Yeah. What was that?
Stuff, dead cats and things.
I couldn't tell you. I think it's like open to interpretation and creep yourself out,
Yeah.
It's a mystery item.
It is questionable, isn't it, on whether or not that's actually his father rebuilding himself, or if it's some other entity altogether.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Like with the dogs. Like, did he do that and black out, or did his father do that? Or was it something completely different? Quite figure that out.
Spontaneous canine combustion.
I mean, since we already spoiled stuff, I'm pretty sure he did it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he did it too.
Because he's a totally unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so creepy.
Yeah. And done really well in this, because I bought it fully. I was like, this guy, he's telling us the exact things that are happening.
Yeah. And you get to a part, it's like, oh, no, he's not.
But yeah, there is an unreliability to it. There's a very sudden shift in his perspectives on what's happening here, where he spends kind of the first half mythologizing his father and wanting to believe that his father is coming back. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, father's an asshole. He's evil. This thing's evil. I got to kill it.
Yeah.
I think that kind of works in conjunction when he's noticing it's draining Dino.
Yeah.
His brother.
And I got to go back and look. I am trying to decide if that is when it happens, or if he...
It's like slow, yeah.
Kind of reaches that conclusion before he sees Dino being drained, and then that plays into his spin.
Yeah, that's tricky, because I think that around that time is, kind of when you start realizing maybe, and depending on our view of if the father was actually there, is I think that's right around when he started deciding, because was that before or after he put the action figure in the sink? I can't quite remember. Because that's when he was trying to stop him. Was when
it was before.
Which,
I think it
I'm
was
100%.
Which I think is what I liked about this, is because that action figure actually is a good example for all of that. Because at first it's like the foot is missing, and then he finds it under the house, and then he finds it fully together, and so you're like, well, at one point he thinks he has it on him, and the foot, he thinks he has the foot on him, and it fell and it goes under the vent. And so you're still that's kind of when you start realizing, okay, wait, something weird is happening, because this action figure keeps changing. So.
Well, I think it might be having that vision of his dad. When you're trying to think back, you usually try to paint someone in a positive picture, at least if they're a relative. So maybe his idea was his dad was a superhero, and it started deteriorating.
Yeah.
Or like an action figure, whatever.
Yeah, because he definitely changes. At first, he sees the father in his full get up for the dancing, and he that's which we kind of get that's he loves that. But then by the end, you realize that maybe it's not a costume, and maybe he's actually growing these things.
Right.
I thought that was really creepy when he's realizing, oh, they're not, it's not just feathers that he had put on. It's spikes and stuff like that.
Yeah, just coming out of him.
Yeah. It's no.
There's a great scene at the end that plays into that when the father's attacked by the ghosts of the dogs that were killed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it tries to rip off its clothing, but it's peeling off pieces of the body.
Yeah.
The feathers are coming away with the skin and muscle.
Yeah, so creepy.
Oh man. Yeah. That, and I should have kind of thought about that with the dog thing, because he talks about, and it's right before the dogs, and it should have made sense, is when he's at the bus stop and he just starts wailing on the guys that are picking on his brother. And then he runs, and he but you don't get the full version or you don't get to see what he did. You just know he didn't let up, he didn't stop, and then right after that's when he's hiding in the house because the dogs are loose.
Right.
That should have been a clue that he's capable of a lot more than we realize.
Yeah, the bullies bullying his brother really hit home for me, because I had to grow up with that.
Yeah.
And my brother's 3 years older than me, but intellectually, he's probably at the level of maybe 10 to 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I got in a lot of fights that my parents still don't know about.
Yeah.
Just punching kids in the face over the things that they'd say to my brother or to me about my brother. And yeah, so when I first read this, I was like, wow, this is speaking to me.
Yeah. That was, it totally made you just, I totally was on board. I'm like, okay, yeah, he needs to take care of these kids. It's just terrible.
Did Richard fall asleep?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Are you okay, Rich?
I'm having trouble with my allergies.
Okay.
I was starting to freak out. I was like,
my allergies are acting up really bad.
Did you die on air?
Yes. My allergies are really kicking in right now. So
all right, good. Thought we were going to have to sacrifice Matt to bring you back.
Is this where we do
and give me Matt's energy and velvety voice?
Oh, thank you.
Is this where we do a paid promo of Flonase?
That's right. Use Flonase. It'll help you breathe.
Yeah, no. When springtime hits, my allergies really.
I almost was thinking, is it a podcast first to have somebody die on air?
It might be.
We'll become famous for that. But
my allergies are kicking in really bad. Yeah. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh man, yeah, that Red X, when he goes in there and he talks about how his brother seems to be used to it and is so had he been doing it before?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what makes it so disturbing, because his brother's so innocent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of blogs that were really mad about Jones's depiction of ableism and whatnot.
That's too bad.
Yeah, because I guess a lot of people see his brother as just a cog in the machine that just gets, I don't know, acted upon, and he has no other purpose.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like with his brother's condition,
right,
and with our narrator being the way he is, it makes sense that it's portrayed that way.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, I mean, the whole story is from the narrator's perspective. We never go outside of his head.
Yeah.
And we see at the end he's a pretty selfish guy. So
yeah.
Yeah. It's just a bummer that I don't know, he still gets targeted by blogs like that and stuff. Even though, Jones obviously has good intentions.
Right.
Yeah.
Just I guess everything's interpreted at face value and the intentions don't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To those types, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there are segments out there that are always looking for reasons to be offended, and they'll find it whether or not it's intended or not.
Right. Intentions, what is that?
Right.
Man.
You're writing about 1800s America when people owned slaves. Obviously, you're a racist.
Right.
Oh,
yeah, I'll have to see how to handle that in my novella here.
Yeah, I can draw from some personal experience there.
Oh, really? That's too bad.
Mike,
Yeah.
you were a misogynist and a racist.
Yes.
I read the review.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Just because you had scenes involving dead sex workers being dug up and having their bodies all cut up and mangled. You obviously don't like sex workers, Mike. This is all it's a you problem.
I need to write.
You wrote
more
about reality?
During the Trump years? My God. Yeah, I need to write more woke villains, apparently. They're too evil.
Yeah. I think all characters should be woke,
Yes.
Yeah.
The woke book.
Oh, God.
The villain's the one who's not woke enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Art shouldn't be challenging or depict reality or have any kind of negative aspects to it.
Historical accuracy, I don't like that.
No. That's the worst.
Erase the past.
We have to gloss over all of this.
Yes.
It was too mean. I don't like it. It needs to be, we have to view everything through rose-tinted glasses and only depict the positive. Because that makes compelling horror fiction.
Well, it's even like, if you read, like, classic Western books, and I'm not talking about the ones that, like, everyone reads. Like, if you dig deep and look at, like, some of the books that were popular, you'd be horrified at the shit people were writing back then. Like,
oh, yeah.
One of my favorite books, and I put this with a caveat, I know how trashy this book is. But one of my favorite books is McTeague. Oh, I've already been canceled. McTeague by Frank Norris. And Frank Norris is a piece of shit. Like, if you think Lovecraft was bad, Frank Norris is worse than Lovecraft.
Oh, no.
Wasn't that made into a movie?
It was made into a movie in the early 1900s called Greed. I haven't seen the movie, but the book of McTeague. So, like, every character in this book, every character in this book is a negative ethnic stereotype of the culture they represent.
Mm.
The only positive characters are the two British characters.
Of course.
Of course.
This is an American book, too, by the way. The main character, McTeague, is a drunken Irish immigrant who is clumsy and dumb, and he's trying to open a dentist office, but he has no idea how to do actual dentist work. So in the book, he's ripping people's teeth out with his bare hands.
Oh, no.
Okay, that works.
He lives in an apartment complex where the woman who does all the maintenance work is a crazy Hispanic lady.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, it goes on. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
But
one of
was
the
he doing satire though?
No, he was dead serious.
Okay.
All his books, the main antagonists were Jews. In this book, there's a Jewish man who is very greedy, and talking about money and gold and wealth gives him sexual arousal.
Oh God!
And in the book, he marries the Mexican woman, and they have a child who dies because the child's of mixed blood. And the text even tells us that is the reason why the child dies.
What in the world?
So this is not satire.
Jesus.
I wish it was. But the idea that I bring this up is like people like to kind of put rose-tinted glasses on a lot of the past.
Yeah.
And if you look at a lot of stuff people were writing and consuming and saying back then, it was really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
The book has a good central theme about greed and how greed ruins people and destroys lives, and I think that's a really good theme.
Mm-hmm.
I read it in college, and even my college professor was like, "This guy's hot garbage," but I really like this book.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of these copies I gave to someone to review Anoka, and I think they left me just one line comment was like, "It's good, but can you take out all the Indian stuff?"
Oh my God!
Wow.
I was like, "What?"
Yikes.
Oh gee.
I like how you
Blocked.
have your grandmother's quote on the copy of Anoka.
Yeah, a lot of people think two things. They think either it's made up or they think that my grandma was saying like the stories are horrible, like the writing and stuff. But she just doesn't like anything to do with speculative fiction or movies or anything. She thinks it's all terrible. Everything should be nonfiction. Don't ride roller coasters. Don't drive fast.
Sounds like my dad.
Yeah, she's so funny, but I sent her 2 early drafts of 2 stories from Anoka, and that's the verbatim text message that she sent me. And I still have the screenshot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So anyway, mapping the interior.
Yes, it's a book.
Back on track.
It's a book.
It's a book.
Oh man.
It's a novella.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It is a really good fucking novella, though.
It's a novella on Telemundo. Very good.
Oh god.
It's in English though, so it's confusing.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome how much he did. Speaking of novella, how awesome he packed so much into it. I mean, there's a lot. He covers a lot.
It reads really smooth, too.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
And there's no chapters. Am I right? Yes.
That is correct. It's just
That's
scene
correct.
Yeah, it
breaks.
just keeps going. Yeah.
It keeps going, which I liked. I think it works for this because, again, to go back to what we were saying, I mean, it's a 12-year-old telling us, or he's remembering what happened, so he's not going to remember in breaks, and he's going to just remember it all and give us kind of everything that's happening. I did think it was interesting, the gun scene.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that scene up. That was the
That
one
drop
that really
piece?
stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's another great moment that calls into his reliability as a narrator.
Yes, because I just like the sheriff, not the sheriff, the deputy.
Yeah.
Comes over, and he, as a 12-year-old boy who has no father, he's upset, which makes sense, and he's trying to figure out a way to spook him out of the house. And he goes into the deputy's car and finds his gun. And so I think his plan, he doesn't even know what his plan is. He just kind of finds himself in the house with the gun. And he thinks he sees his dead father in Dino's room, right? I think that's what kind of starts it, is he thinks he sees him in there. And then he turns. And when he turns, then he hears the back door, and then he just starts firing. Which I totally had kind of forgotten while I was reading it that the neighbor was around. And I was like, oh man, he's going to shoot the deputy. That's where this is going. But it doesn't. But then the deputy does show up and isn't nice.
No.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen too.
Yeah, I
Beats
was like,
the shit out of him.
Yes. Which,
But the thing is that he supposedly, anyway, kills the neighbor.
Yes.
Who he claims was breaking into the house intent on revenge for the death of his dogs.
Yes.
But then it's like there's no mention after that of what happens. There's no investigation. There's no burial. Like, what happens to the body? Who took care of it?
Yeah.
Like, none of that is mentioned. So you're kind of left dangling whether or not did that happen? Is this an actual account? Is he just circumventing all of these details, or did it not happen?
Well, and I think you get something where he thinks the deputy might have put him under the house, and then he realizes that, well, maybe the deputy didn't want to say anything because the gun,
the drop piece.
Yes, that and the fact that the deputy was there late at night.
Yeah.
So like, he doesn't mention that. That's just us intuiting that part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting because you're not sure, because you don't see the neighbor again, but you don't really see outside of the house again kind of after that.
Right.
I don't think. So I thought that was interesting. Well, and I guess I should even back up further, is they had found this tetherball pole, and he had saw the football, right? And that's why he went out, he went out because he was mad and he was throwing the football, and then that's when he sees the sheriff.
Yeah, I think the ladder.
Yeah.
It's a ladder.
Yeah, the sheriff pulls into the driveway and goes in the house, but leaves his car unlocked. So Junior starts rifling around inside and opens up the glove box, and there's a gun.
Yeah.
I'll just take that and head on in.
Yeah. But I think that the mention of the drop piece was also like a double entendre. In a way that I think Jones was maybe commenting on maybe police corruption and brutality against natives. There's a huge history of that, along with, like on tribal lands, you can't even prosecute felonies. It has to be the FBI.
Right.
So a lot of stuff goes, unseen. I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting how he said, I took his drop piece. I knew the term.
Yeah. Well, and I thought all of that was kind of interesting too, because you kind of get that set up where the mother was like, well, you need a father figure, you missed your father and we need somebody here. And then slowly maybe not slowly, but the deputy shows up again and is giving them a ride. Mm-hmm. And then he comes in at night, and you kind of, I think, get a comment. The Junior actually, even before that, I think he's watching out the window for the deputy. He was like already assuming the deputy is going to show up. So I thought that was kind of an interesting idea of what is happening there.
And also that he never learned the deputy's name until he was in high school.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting facet. If apparently he screwed up his mother's chance at a relationship with this guy by maybe killing the neighbor.
Yeah.
As one does.
Yes.
Hey, you're 12. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
We've all been there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We've all used a drop piece or two and a couple burner phones. Sure.
Right. Isn't. You get them at the 7-Eleven. It's easy.
Yeah. Prepaid cards.
I've seen The Wire. I know how this goes. We can do this.
So the other part, I guess, is we up into a certain point where it's kind of, I don't want to say it's unclear, but they get stories about his father, and either he blew a rod, and what I kind of gathered was gotten into an accident, a truck accident, or he drowned. So you hear the stories from Junior's aunts, and you don't get much from the mom. The mom doesn't really talk about it, I don't think, because that even kind of comes up where they don't. It seems like it never kind of is discussed. But then he gets a dream in which he is kind of a combo of people. It feels like he's head jumping a little bit. And it shows his dad is at a lake and sitting, and either he's his dad at one point and he's surrounded by beer cans, or he's the man trying to find his dad. I was trying to figure out, was that his interpretation of what happened, or was he actually kind of seeing the past?
I'm not sure on that one.
Because it was very detailed on what happened in the dream, I should say. And it like I said, it jumps. Some points he's his dad. At other points, he's the guy that owned the truck coming to find him because he either broke the truck or he wasn't going to come back with the truck. It was just kind of an interesting scene to put in. And I don't know if that's after he started thinking his dad was not going to be a good ghost, or if that's what actually turned him from thinking he's going to be a good ghost. So,
I took it as him seeing the past through other people's eyes, but it just seems so detailed that that's just what makes sense to me.
Yeah, because at that point, that's when he is fighting against the ghost of whatever this thing is, if it's his father or if it's a different creature. So I think we can kind of infer that maybe it is his father and he is seeing the memories through this figment's eyes, their past memories.
Yeah.
With a little bit of a dreamwalker kind of magic through it, where he was also entering into the mind of another sleepwalker in the past. Yeah, I'm not entirely clear.
Yeah. I thought of the sleepwalking things, talking about that was very interesting. And dead footing, which, I'd never heard of that before, but it makes sense that it's a kid thing. I mean, maybe it's other things too, but how he learned it from school. I was like, yeah, you always learn weird things from school.
Dead footing class 101.
Yeah, didn't you have that class?
Now take your shoelaces.
Yeah. That was intense. I was like, oh, that can't be good. Can't be good
really
for your
intense.
body.
It's not good for circulation.
No.
Yeah, I was trying to wonder why he included that, if it was maybe, native folklore or something, but I think it was just a kid thing.
Yeah.
Like a kid's idea of, okay, I'll make my feet dead so I could walk into the other realm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a whole Bloody Mary thing.
Yeah.
At least the way I kind of was taking it.
Kid logic.
Yeah, exactly. But, I liked it going back to the dream and then maybe kind of back to looking at the dad's past, especially after reading, say, The Only Good Indians and what he's kind of showing us. I thought with this one it was interesting because you get little comments about what his dad was doing and like finding what was he? I think he was finding a moose and he was going to take the antlers. He knew somebody that wanted the antlers.
Supposedly, yeah.
That's what he said.
And so but it's just as interesting. And I think it's kind of a bigger thing with Stephen Graham Jones and how he's kind of showing the trials and everything like that. Cause that, he was like, oh, I'm gonna get a lot of money for this. And, that's at least what my thought was when talking about the dream and finding him trying to catch fish, possibly how it's just this kind of look. And I think the beer can thing was kind of an important look, having him be surrounded by beer cans. And again, it goes to just the reading of The Only Good Indians and how he kind of talks about how certain people view indigenous people and these things that kind of come into it.
Yeah. Alcoholism.
And so I thought, because up until that point, you don't really, again, you're not seeing very much of the dad, but you don't hear much about his dad's a big drinker. He does, he was out all the time doing these kind of things because he was only 4 when his dad passed. So I was like, oh, that's a kind of an interesting comment, especially if he is sleepwalking, say, into the guy that owned the truck. And would this truck driver see his dad a certain way? So even in this story, I love that he can kind of capture certain topics.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this book and most of his writing. The Only Good Indians, you could just sit there and just try to take every paragraph in.
Yeah, right.
The Only Good Indians, that book blew me away.
Yes. That was...
Yeah, it was so good.
One of the very few books that while reading it, I was like, oh shit, and dropped my Kindle because I couldn't believe it.
Is that the motorcycle hair?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that part. That's the one part everyone knows.
I think universally, that's the one that gets everyone that reads this book.
It's because it's so unexpected that it's like, fuck. Even with like, back to Mapping the Interior though, I like how we get Junior's like adulthood as well in this book. So we kind of see like, most of this book we spend time seeing him as this 12-year-old boy who believes he's trying to protect his brother from what he thinks is the spirit of his father, to like how this experience and his life shaped him up to become the adult he became.
Right.
Which I think is a nice like bookend to everything.
That, and he kind of becomes what he envisioned of his father.
Yeah, he becomes what he believed his father wanted to be but couldn't.
Yes.
And he kind of takes that up.
Because, like, I mean, almost every aspect, because this is a kid from another, because he's married, right? But this is a kid from another woman, so he's not around. And he also does the dancing, which he envisioned his father doing. And then he attacks Dino in almost the same way, which was just heartbreaking. I mean, and I don't want to say I get what he was doing, but like you can tell that like he was, he cares about his son and he wanted to bring his son back and he was willing to do anything for it, which is just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it gives it the full circle.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that interesting layer of generational mistakes and trying to break away from the past or embrace it and repeat those mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah, which can often happen in families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
we spend a lot of time saying, I don't want to be anything like my father, and then end up being like your father. It's like, oh, shit, I'm saying things he said 20 years ago to me, and now I'm being the asshole. And
I don't want to be the asshole.
Yeah. And then it's kind of like, okay, well, here now I'm going to be the fancy dancer that he never got to be. But, I'm also going to bleed my brother dry in order to try and bring back the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Dad.
I think it was hinted at early on, maybe the first 20 pages, somewhere in there, that maybe he was going to go crazy at some point because he mentioned Crazy Horse twice.
Oh.
Yeah.
He said, all of us Indians, he said something like, all of us Indians, we know about stolen lands. We know about, all the treaties or whatever, colonization. But all of us, inside of us, we have a hibernating crazy horse ready to fight or kill. A killer who's smart,
Yeah.
So it kind of, it was like a little hint there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to be the smart killer.
Oh, man.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
He's been fucking with us for 100 pages until this end.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, that's Stephen Graham Jones for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We need to do more of his stuff for this podcast.
We do. So. He's got so much we got to get caught up on.
Staring into the Abyss, Stephen Graham Jones season.
Yeah. Man,
Just
he
one
has...
season for him.
Yeah, he has some rabbit book that I want to read. Not the one that we covered, but
I was going to say we did.
But no, he's got like some Night of the Killer Rabbit thing. I think he had posted it.
It came from Del Rio.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a super rare, hard to find.
Yeah, I know. I'm so disappointed. As soon as I saw
Matt would be the one to pick that.
Well, I saw the cover and I was like, well, this is perfect, and it's something I'm currently working on. So I was like, anything with killer rabbits, and I'm on board.
Yeah, I'll have to get that once it goes, below $40 or $80. I think right now it's like 80.
Holy crap!
Because it's out of print and hard to find.
Yeah,
but the cover makes me think it's like pulpy.
Yes.
Pulpy
Maybe
fun.
he'll be nice and put out a digital edition for us.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
That would be really sweet.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be cool. And I'll be reading his book, The Last Final Girl, pretty soon.
Oh, nice.
I have it on my Kindle, but I haven't got to it yet.
It's like a total homage to, the final girl trope.
Yeah.
And I've heard just super good things about it. Like if you're a fan of slashers, it's like the holy grail, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess it's super meta too. So
that's awesome.
I like that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Well, we know he loves his slashers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he owns like everything Friday the 13th.
Well, it's his love of slashers that's really making me look forward to My Heart is a Chainsaw, which, from what I understand, also follows that slasher model. So I expect that'll be good.
Yeah, that Night of the Mannequins. I mean, totally slasher.
I assume he has like chainsaw in the title, kind of like a throwback to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because that was the first slasher.
Yeah,
very well could be.
Yeah. Could be.
And a funny thing happened. I never want to like ask him directly to have arcs because that feels weird to me.
Just give me this book, man. Just give it to me.
Yeah. So on NetGalley, I requested a copy, and then I got denied. And then there was this weird bug where they opened it up for read now, so everyone could access it. But if you were previously denied, you cannot access it.
Oh,
so I was like, oh, that's a sign for me to wait.
Yeah. Rich knows what you're talking about.
Was I wasn't even denied. I requested it, and now I'm stuck in my not active pending requests.
Oh, that happened too? Dang.
So
at least you got the paperback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the paperback now. So for me, for instance, some of my books that are pending are Mexican Gothic. That's still on my pending list.
Oh, that's only been out for a year.
Right. I was gonna say, isn't it out in paperback anytime now?
Yeah. You Love Me by Caroline Kepnes. And
Netflix
Psalm
show, right?
for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers.
Okay.
Oh, and Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix.
Oh, well, that one just came out, so
we'll see if I get any more of those. Tor auto rejects me, and it makes me so sad.
They got your number.
Yeah, they're like, fuck this guy. But I'm happy I got the arc of this new one, because I can't wait to dive in.
Of Grady's or
tonight?
Oh no, of Stephen. Okay.
Yeah, I might start the Stephen Graham Jones arc tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure it's real good. I'll just have to wait.
I'll be bugging you, Shane, and be like, dude.
Wait till you get to page 12. Oh my God, page 40.
Page 30, holy fuck.
Or you
Shane,
could
I'm not
just
going to believe page 57.
or you could just message me about the last 2 pages.
I could do that too.
Hey now.
Shade was thrown.
Yeah, right.
Which is kids.
Hey, listen, we said this was a spoiler-filled discussion.
True.
Yeah, but we got to fuck with you, Matt. That's a standing rule.
It's fair. I'll take it.
So, Shane, I want to thank you for spending some time with us today on this podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thanks
Even
for
if
having me.
my head's a giant mess of allergies right now.
It's okay. You fell asleep during my speech.
What?
It really sounded like you were snoring.
Did it really?
We thought you fell asleep.
I was having trouble breathing, so that's why I was like.
It just went quiet, and all we hear is.
Yeah, this is my first Skype call, so I was like, did someone hack the call?
I know you have the Anoka collection out. Do you have anything coming that you want to help promote?
Yeah, I have a story in an anthology from the Howl Society, which is a horror book club offshoot from the subreddit Horror Lit. It grew out of that during the pandemic, and it's on Discord, and it has like over 1,000 people in it. And for some reason, we got the crazy idea to bring all the writers in the Discord out to do an anthology, put it out ourselves. And there's 16 stories. Mine is one of them. It's on NetGalley. It'll be out May 18th. So the original plan was to go to StarkerCon and have all the paperbacks on the booth and just give them away for free. Spread the word. Grady Hendrix wrote the foreword because he still is a moderator on that subreddit. So it's kind of like his baby, even though, he has no input in the House Society. But yeah, that's May 18th. I wrote like a It's like a police department audio transcription from 1941 between a therapist and his patient. And it was super experimental for me because I haven't written anything like that, but it was fun. A few reviewers have pointed out that they liked it, so we'll see if other people like it. So that's May. I'm also at the helm of a dark fiction Indigenous anthology. So all the writers will be Indigenous, including whoever does the cover art.
Nice.
And I can't say much about it right now. I'm drafting the proposal with my agent. I'm on the third draft right now to make it all perfect before we send it out to the prospective publishers. And I won't say on air who I've already talked to, but I told you guys before this. But yeah, there's some big names. I have like 12 big names on it. Awesome. And then I'm going to have 7 spots for open call short stories. So we're going to open the floodgates in July. My co-editor is Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. He actually edited I guess you'd call it like an anthology / excerpt book of Stephen Graham Jones.
Huh.
And they're friends. I call him Ted. So he's going to be my co-editor. And yeah, it's going to go traditional. There's no doubt about that part, but we just don't know which publisher. And so we're hashing out the details, like, per word payment and all that, because it's going to be expensive, sadly. So I'm trying to get people paid, but I don't want it to, get stuck in production.
Yeah.
But that's going to be fun. It's going to be a huge book. Ted says that Indigenous academia is buzzing around it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the book might be in a lot of college courses across the U.S. and Canada. So I'm doing that. And timeline is probably turn in the manuscript this December and then have it published next year. So there's that. I'm also going to be in an all-Indigenous comic book with Stephen Graham Jones is going to be in it. I could say that because when this airs, the Kickstarter will be live already.
It's going to be a Kickstarter?
Yeah, so I got contacted by the person running it, Beth. She's a professor at, I forget which college, but she's running it through Native Realities Press. They have experience with doing, comic books and stuff like that. But I got contacted to be a contributing writer. So I have 4 pages to tell a story. And I'm going to be teamed up with an Indigenous artist. And I think the book's already like 200 pages long. So it's going to be a big,
wow.
It's going to be a big collection. And it's going to be kickstarted. And I think at this point, to even fund it, it'll have to reach like, what was the quote she gave me? I think it was like 36 grand.
Okay.
It was something big because, it's full color.
Yeah.
High quality, like, gloss pages, whatever. And so, yeah, I'll have a story in that 4 pages long. As you guys already embarrassingly know, I don't have a lot of comic knowledge, so I'll have to do some studying in the art of it.
If you want some recommendations, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. Because I'm fairly okay / good at flash fiction. So if I have 4 pages for a comic book story, it might be kind of easy for me. I'm not sure.
I might be overstepping my bounds with comic recommendations right now, but I think Matt could attest to this.
Okay.
I think if you want a really good comic for like short one-shot stories, Ice Cream Man is a really good comic for that.
Yeah.
Ice Cream Man. Okay.
And they're all kind of Twilight Zone-y horror stories.
Oh, okay. I'm into it.
Like, they're really fucking good.
Nice.
So there's one that's all in Spanish.
Ooh, okay.
And even like the author doesn't know Spanish, and like he had to have it translated into Spanish because he wanted it to be Spanish.
Nice. Okay.
And there's one that's like a palindrome where like it starts and ends in the same place. You can read it forwards and backwards, and it makes sense both ways.
That's really cool.
So he'll do like kind of cool stuff like that with the format of everything.
Right.
But I think that would be a good one to check out for like one shot, like shorter comic stories.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I forgot to mention, The comic book is called Of Howls. Ooh. And it's kind of funny. I'm going to be in 2 books the same year. Oh, it's going to be publishing probably September, October this year, the comic book. But I'm going to be in 2 books published the same year with the Howls in the title. Because the Grady Hendrix forward antho is called Howls from Hell. This one is called Of Howls because the stories have to revolve around wolves, werewolves, or Rougarou. So I'm probably going to go with werewolf.
Treat.
And so I'll check out Ice Cream Man. I guess I should mention that I'm going to be publishing a splatter western through Death's Head Press.
Excellent.
Next year. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how that happened. They tweeted, let's open this up. It's kind of like an open call thing.
Yeah.
That same day, within like 45 minutes, I wrote up my proposal and created the whole like backstory.
Wow.
And then I emailed Jared, and he didn't say anything until the next Friday. And he chose Instagram Messenger to contact me, and I was like, I don't have notifications on for that. So I missed it. I missed his initial message by like a couple hours. So I was like, oh, hey, sorry, I don't use this. And that was only 9 days later, and I had a deal with them. So I thought that was really cool off just a proposal.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm excited to read that.
Yeah, it's going to be an alternative history, like revenge story on the Wounded Knee Massacre. So it's going to have a lot of history / I guess kind of like Inglourious Bastards, how he twisted, obviously Nazi Germany history there.
Yeah.
Especially with how Hitler got shot up. But something similar is going to happen in that one. It's going to be folklore and monsters and soldiers dying as revenge. And then obviously, a lot of emotional layers because you can't really have horror without that. And I actually got the title I took it from a quote from L. Frank Baum, he created the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. And he had a editorial, what do you call it? A press back then. And like literally like 3 days after the massacre, he penned like this whole article that said, yeah, this is good. We should keep this going. We should get rid of the rest of them.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
And yeah, you could, I think I shared it on Twitter. I'll probably reshare it, later.
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh, I know. And then, so I took from his actual quote, Untamable Creatures, because that's what he called Indians. So the title of my novella will be Untamable Creatures.
Oh man.
One of my this is kind of unrelated, but a little bit related. One of my favorite like American author moments when they get political, but for the right way, is Mark Twain.
Yeah.
When the massacre happened, when the American military killed a bunch of innocent Muslim civilians in the Philippines, Mark Twain called the military Christian butchers.
Oh, I kind of remember that, yeah.
And he said how, like, what happened was a disgrace and how this shows why what America's doing in the Philippines is a horrible thing and they shouldn't be supported. And I was like, you go, Mark Twain. Like, given those unpopular hot takes back in the 1800s that people 100 years later are going to appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he also called them, like, assassins in uniform, something like that. He did. Yeah, he's one of those people that are approached by the new woke people for his use of the N-word in his work. But it's like, do you know Mark Twain? Like, read up on him. He was an anti-imperialist. A lot of his stuff is satire. It's all about
even if
intention.
You read like Huck Finn, the book's about the power of that word and the power of using like words to give people titles.
Right. Yeah.
And like taking away the N-word of Huck Finn kind of ruins the idea behind that book.
Yeah. And I can understand like hating to hear or see that word, but it's like, there's a place in history for these awful things. Like we were talking about before, you can't just wear those, rosy glasses.
I used to teach at a high school that was mostly like the population was like 99% black and brown kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one little white kid who was a ball of anxiety the entire time. And and one of the teachers was reading Huck Finn to their students, and they were a white teacher in a room full of black kids. And without even prompting or reading the room, they just went all in on reading the N-word out loud, and that did not go over well.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, what you want to do is, if you're going to go for it, at least prep them.
Yeah.
Or like at least read the room, and don't just do it without like any pre-work to that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that happens.
Yeah, like, maybe even I mean in the classroom, it's a different context from like, I don't know, at the bar or at a restaurant.
That's true.
Yeah.
But you would definitely ask permission.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of maybe.
I wouldn't say it out loud
formal,
without any prep work, or like, hey, so reading this book that has some inappropriate language in it that I don't feel comfortable reading out loud, but I also feel that censoring this language also like hurts the effect of this book. So
Yeah.
there's that going on too.
And hopefully the white teacher doesn't read the word with like such gusto.
I was in the room, so I can't say, but I hope it wasn't.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, that's
so.
like her time to shine and break out her Sam Jackson impression.
Oh, no. I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes.
But Shane, where can our listeners get in touch with you?
You can go to my website. That links out to everything. ShaneHawk.com, just my name. I'm on Twitter. Twitter's my main platform if you want to reach me. Maybe don't message me on Instagram Messenger.
Note to publishers.
Yeah.
I think that's just good advice in general.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but no worries. Mainly Twitter. I mean, I've been using it since 2009. So Twitter's really good. I like it. I know a lot of people don't, but I use it for positivity and getting work done. Whatever.
Same. And Matt, what about you?
Twitter at BrandenburgDM.
And Mike?
Twitter at MikeH5856, or head over to my website at michaelpatrickhicks.com.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Rudy53088. And also be sure to check out Divination Hollow reviews, because I have a bunch of reviews popping up on that website over the next few months if you want to catch up on my writing.
Nice.
And be sure to give our podcast some subscriptions. Be sure to review our podcast. We want to spread this abyss around, and we're only getting bigger by the day.
Yeah, the best for reviews and ratings is still iTunes, right? Like we cleared up before.
Yeah, iTunes is the best.
Okay.
I'm not too sure if you can review on Spotify, but that would help too.
Yeah, and some podcasters don't even have a place to review, so iTunes for sure.
iTunes, it helps out in the algorithm for iTunes the more like reviews it gets.
Nice. Cool.
But this is Richard Gerlach saying keep staring.
Oh, hi. It's me, Napoleon Doom, the host of the U-Mind, the only podcast to broadcast out of HE double hockey stick. So far. We bring you the best in super and supernatural entities. One episode we might be talking to a sentient cat bent on world domination, and the next, we're talking to community leaders who are making a difference for the people in their cities. It's never the same show twice. Brought to you by Project Entertainment Network. Available where you get your podcasts. Wherever.
This has been a presentation of the Project Entertainment Network.